and we're at our agent prep early morning. Well, it's not so early. Early morning Saturday prep to review for your national and Texas real estate exam. Okay. Hope y'all had a great week and studied a little bit more from Wednesday's class. So when you get on here, say good morning on the text box so that I know that you're here. And let StreamYard, okay, okay, you have to let StreamYard, give StreamYard permission. Let's see, let me give you the link. The link is StreamYard.com/Facebook. So go ahead and click on that StreamYard/Facebook and give Facebook permission to post your comments on StreamYard, because otherwise I won't see your name. Okay, up here I'll see, hey Charles, good morning. Okay, so you see Charles has given Facebook permission to show it on Facebook and to show it on StreamYard. And that way your name's going to show up here. Otherwise it'll be blank and I won't know who it is. However, you know, the techie person that I am, I end up, you know, showing my Facebook, okay, on my phone so that I can see. All right, so let me get that going and I'll share my screen so that we can start out with vocabulary as always. Okay, so that's the source that we're using. So let me get the streaming going on my phone. That way I know everybody who's on here. So say good morning. So all of you who are attending either through YouTube or Facebook. If you're on YouTube, yes, then I'll see your who's attending and your name. If you're on Facebook, I've got to see it on my phone. Okay. All right. So this is the source, one of the sources that we use. And it is the Texas Real Estate Sales Exam. It is an old version. However, it is an awesome version. I had a student pass yesterday and met him just a few days ago. And he asked me what I recommended to study for the state and national, but he had already passed the national. So I told Sammy to download this Texas Real Estate Sales Exam and study all the state questions. He studied all the 4 exams, question, vocabulary. And because this source, okay, has 4 exams. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it also has a Scantron that you can download. So let's see here, page 29. And he downloaded, okay, the Scantron. See this right here? And you can, you know, print that and take the exam. The last 30 questions are state. The first 80 are national. Again, this is an old source from 2006, but it is excellent. A few of the questions are outdated, but it's an excellent source. And then at the end, it has the questions. So let me see if it's in like page 40. Oh, getting there. Okay, you see how it explains the answers? So the answers are described, explained if it's a math problem. So it's an excellent source. If you fail the exam, okay, doesn't mean you really failed. It means you need to study more to pass it. You can look up your from your test and see what you missed. And this will tell you what section you need to focus on. Let me see here. Okay. This particular source. So let's say you did really bad on property ownership. Okay. You can go back and look at the questions that you need to study in that particular exam. Exam 1, property ownership, you go and do these questions so that you can get better at it and understand it. So this book is excellent for that. Okay, so with that, and then there's acronyms you've got to know. I've uploaded all of this into the Facebook group that we're on. So it's all there. You don't need to be calling me, asking me. I mean, I welcome your text for help and things like that, but the resources are there. Learn to look for the resources yourself. They're in our Facebook group. And okay, this is our Facebook group. So you're going to go into the tab More, then you click on Files. See, I uploaded all these files that I got from other students online. And for some reason, some students weren't able to see the last one here. This is the exam. I should change the name to just Texas Real Estate. It says copy 3 because I have multiple copies. So way on the bottom is the copy 3, the Texas Real Estate Sales Exam. This one right here, okay, is is way at the bottom. So download it, study it. You guys need to study questions. If for some reason you haven't passed and you need to retake it and take as many tests as you can. So, you know, I have proof of that with one of my students that passed yesterday. And it seemed like he did an all-nighter, but he made it. Okay, with that, we will continue on and start with our vocabulary. So everybody that's on here, please say good morning so that I know who it is that's on here. And good morning to you all. Have your cup of coffee. And we are starting with guaranteed sale plan today. So we'll do about 30 minutes of vocabulary, then we'll go into national questions and then state questions. All righto. Okay, let's get going. And at any time, type in a question. Okay, you need help, you don't understand something, type it in the comments. All right, guaranteed sale plan. An agreement between a broker and a seller that the broker will buy the seller's property if it does not sell within a specified period of time. So there are some companies, some brokers that offer this, okay? Here at EXP, it's called Express Offers. So Express Offers will buy the property and you know, if it doesn't sell or if somebody needs to sell really quick, Express Offers, there are other iBuyers and that type of thing. They'll buy the properties at a discount, okay? But it's quick. Get it out of the way and they can go on and buy something else. So it's a quick sale. Expect that they will sell it at a little bit of a reduced price. Still drinking my coffee this morning, okay? All right, guardian. One who is legally responsible for the care of another person's rights and or property. And that'll be a legal guardian. It can be somebody that has a power of attorney who signs and makes decisions for somebody else. So it has to be a legal guardian that has court documents that are recorded and presented, you know, to the title company, attorneys, wherever it is required. someone under the age of 18 or an older person that can't make decisions on their own. So that's a legal guardian. Habendum clause. The clause in a deed beginning with the words to have and to hold that defines or limits the exact interest in a estate granted by the deed. So exact interest. So when you have an estate, you have an interest in real property, in real estate. Doesn't mean you own it. It could be a lease estate, right? Or a life estate. what happened there? There we go. I'm pushing buttons and losing things here. So, excuse me, home equity conversion mortgage, HECM, often called a reverse annuity mortgage. Instead of making payments to a lender, the lender makes payments to you. It enables older homeowners to convert the equity that they have in their homes into cash, usually in the form of monthly payments. So an individual who is no longer working, retired, their home is paid off, or they have a large portion of equity, they can get one of those reverse mortgages, and the lender will be paying them monthly for the equity that they have. The day that they pass away, that property has to be sold to pay the lender back. So whoever inherits that property and there's a balance due to that lender, then the family has to sell it and pay it off. So unlike traditional home equity loans, a borrower does not qualify on the basis of income, but on the value of his or her home, the equity, whatever they've already paid down. Could be free and clear, right? In addition, the loan does not have to be repaid until the borrower no longer occupies the home. So that's once they decease typically. Home equity line of credit. So they're both an equity line, but one is a mortgage, one is a revolving credit. So a mortgage loan that allows the borrower to obtain cash drawn against the equity of his or her home up to a predetermined amount. So again, the equity, the amount that have been paid down on the home, okay? Hey, good morning, Fred. How you doing? The money that has been paid down on the mortgage, now it's considered equity. That's what we really own, okay? Because we have an equitable title. So until it's paid off, we get full title. In the meantime, we have equitable title. However, we have now equity. If you've paid down 20, 30, 40% of it, the lender could provide a low interest loan, revolving, kind of like a credit card, but it's with the bank. And you can use that money, then pay it off, use it again, kind of like a credit card. But the interest doesn't change. It's fixed, and there's a yearly fee in most companies and most banks. So that's called a HELOC. Home Equity Line of Credit, HELOC, HELOC, okay? Home Equity Line of Credit. Home inspection, what we recommend to all buyers to get, whether the house is brand new, brand spanking new, doesn't mean it doesn't have any issues. A lot of times those have more issues, right? Because it was just finished and they still need to do little things here and there, the last little things, And so I worked with a broker that was also a builder. And so we called it a punch list. I would do an open house on $1 million home, and he'd say, hey, do a punch list for me. You would think, what? What am I going to punch? Well, you walk around the house and you look at things that still need to be finished, spots weren't finished, baseboards, whatever. And we put little blue or green pieces of tapes on all these spots so the contractor can come back and repair them. So the home inspector is going to point out all those things when they inspect the home. So new, old, whatever kind of home, we recommend the buyer do a home inspection. It's for their own good to know what they are buying. A thorough inspection by a professional that evaluates the structural and mechanical condition of a property. A satisfactory home inspection is often included as a contingency by the purchaser. This is done when? During the option period of the contract. And that option period can be 7, 10, 20 days, whatever is agreed upon between the buyer and the seller. And during that time, it is a unilateral contract, right? It's a one-way contract. Only one person is performing that. That's the buyer. They're doing their inspections, their due diligence, and the seller is on hold. So it evaluates the structural and mechanical, the plumbing inside the house, all the faucets. They use certain meters, moisture meters, other types to see if there's moisture in the ceiling. And so they've got some really cool instruments that they can detect whether there is insulation missing on the ceiling. When I bought this condo where I live now, he's got a little meter with an ultraviolet light that looks through the ceiling and shows if there is insulation missing. Awesome. There's another one that they put along the wall to see if the studs or if there's moisture behind the wall. Excellent. In the past, we didn't have that, okay? And so we wouldn't know if there was something wrong behind the drywall until something was taken apart or you saw a wet spot in the surface. Highly recommend home inspection. And those can vary from $175 to $350, depending the area in the US that we're in. But remember, when you do real estate, even on brand new homes, some contractors will get upset, say, hey, it's a brand new home. Hey, we don't know how good of a job you did. You know, a lot of them take shortcuts. Others don't. They take pride in what they do. Okay, and that home inspection, once it's completed, the inspector will send it to the buyer and will release it to the buyer agent when the buyer agent gives them permission to do so. That home inspection belongs to whom? The buyer. It is not released to the seller nor the listing agent, only under the permission of the buyer. It belongs to the buyer. If for some reason that home inspection is the buyer terminates the contract because of the inspection and says, yes, you can share it with the seller and this, because it costs the buyer money, right? And now the seller could have that inspection and do all the repairs and they didn't have to pay for an inspection. And they may want to use it with the next buyer, which would probably be okay if it was released in writing. However, if that other buyer or the seller contacts the inspector to ask them questions, the inspector will say, no, that belongs to the initial buyer. I cannot answer any questions, right? You'll have to pay for a new one, which is, right, because the inspector was paid to do the inspection for somebody else. So it only belongs to the buyer who paid for it. Homeowners insurance. An insurance policy specifically designed to protect residential property owners against financial loss from common risks such as fire, theft, and liability. Whenever there's a loan involved, the lender is going to require homeowners insurance. When you're renting property, many landlords will require tenants insurance, renters insurance. So that protects the house. Renters only the personal property. They have to get landlord's insurance. A homeowner that lives on the property gets homeowner's insurance. Should there be a flood insurance, that is a separate insurance. Flood insurance is separate, and that's delivered by FEMA. Homeowners Warranty, an insurance policy that protects purchasers of newly constructed or pre-owned homes against certain structural and mechanical defects. So builders will provide a 2 to 10 year home warranty, okay, for new construction homes. Some only do a 1 year. However, builders that do many homes, okay, they will typically offer a 2 to 10 year home warranty. Certain things are covered the first 2 years, and then the major, structural things. After that, it's smaller things. Then they can get a homeowner's home warranty policy, which that protects like appliances. So that's from home warranty companies, not homeowners warranty like the contractors. But it's a lesser type of policy that you buy like from First American Home Warranty, Old Republic Home Warranty, Fidelity Home Warranty, a lot of different American something home warranty, a lot of home warranty. Those are for the appliances, the mechanical part of things inside the house. Okay, it's only within the house. If the plumbing has to be dug outside because it's, under the house, then they have to hire somebody to dig it out and make it accessible. Okay. If the item was not working prior to buying, the items have to be working prior to buying the home warranty. And those home warranties can be 450 to 600. And if your AC, forced air unit and the compressor go out, they will cover it with a premium home warranty. If it's the basic home warranty, no, because sometimes the compressor and the air handler will be a different name brand. Let's say one of them malfunctioned, had to be replaced, and they don't match. Home warranty won't cover it. Once you get the premium, it'll cover it. I learned from experience, okay, from one of my clients. I buy my seller clients when I'm listing their property. I pay for a home warranty during the listing from one of those home warranties I mentioned, because the water heater may be replaced. They may have AC problems. They may have electrical problems, outlets, the GFIs or AFCIs that have to be replaced. The garage door opener, washer and dryer, if they were already on their refrigerator. So those things can be replaced with the home warranty. There may be some things that the seller still needs to pay for, like additional accessories for the water heater, the piping. They'll replace the water heater. And the owner only pays like $75 for the service call. So that's a gift from me to them to have a home warranty. It has saved several of my sellers thousands of dollars, especially when the air conditioning system has to be replaced. So that's a home warranty. It's not a homeowner's insurance that covers everything due to fire, theft, and liability. Know the difference. Now, when they're buying a home, then there's the title policy ownership, title policy insurance. That's a totally different. That's to protect during the purchase and sale, okay, of the property. That's a title insurance policy. But again, it's an insurance. You've got to know all these different types of insurances. So that's why it's important to know the vocabulary. Homestead. Homestead, you're allowed one primary residence ownership to be designated as a homestead, and you'll get certain exemptions with property taxes and prevent from certain creditors to foreclose on you. Or, so that's on our primary residence, a parcel of land and improvements legally qualifying as the owner's principal residence. We're only allowed one in the United States. Okay, so homestead, it took me a while to understand that, right? When I moved to Texas and I bought my own home by myself. So what the heck is homestead? It's your primary residence. Now, if you have it on an LLC because you want to have asset protection and you don't want somebody to sue you when you're an investor, when we're an investor and we have multiple properties, we a lot of times put them under a limited liability corporation or others. And that's a form of asset protection, so that if you have tenant, they come trying to sue you, people are sue happy. And somebody that owns a lot of property, they want to start suing and complaining. Well, having an LLC hides who you really are. So if you have the homestead, even though it's your primary residence and you have it under an LLC, it doesn't qualify. So I had my primary residence under an LLC. Well, I didn't qualify, so I was paying, full taxes on it. I had to convert it by doing a quitclaim deed and recording it. I changed it back to my name because I finally really understood what the heck a homestead is. Okay. And that helps us understand it when we're doing real estate to better help our clients. So now, if you have property taxes that you haven't paid, they can foreclose on you. That doesn't protect you from that. If you own a loan that has to be paid, they can foreclose on us. That's our responsibility. Okay, that's a voluntary loan. A voluntary lien is our loan, right? We went and got the loan. So yes, it's our homestead, but they can foreclose because we owe money. Other types of creditors will not be able to foreclose on the home. But remember, don't misunderstand that a mortgage company, a lender, the deed of trust, they can foreclose on you because we owe money. HUD, remember the acronym, Housing and Urban Development. So it's an acronym for the Department of Housing and Urban Development, a federal agency that enforces federal fair housing laws and oversees agencies such as FHA and what's GNMA? Those of you that are on here, before I tell you what it is, I'd like you to comment. What does it stand for? GNMA. Write it down. I'm going to refill my cup of coffee and I'll come down and see who wrote it. There's 8 of you on here. So comment. Okay, I expect to see a bunch of replies. Oh my gosh, nobody's taking the risk to tell me what it is. Let's see here. Government National Mortgage Association. Hi, Irene. Thank you for joining us. No. A Department Housing and Urban Development and does government agencies. Yeah, that is Jeannie Mae. Let me see if it's on this acronyms. So you said Government National Mortgage Association. So let's Google it, because I could be wrong. And here I am asking you. Yeah, Jeannie Mae. So I know it as Jeannie Mae, Government National Mortgage Association. Excuse me, Irene. So yes, it's known as Jeannie Mae, a wholly owned corporate instrumentality of the United States. So Government National Mortgage Association, Jeannie Mae. Gee, I have to correct myself. Okay, so most of us know it as Jeannie Mae, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Okay, they're government Department of Housing and Urban Development. Very good, very good. Who else commented? Only Irene. Excellent, Irene. Okay, implied contract. A contract where the agreement of the parties is created by their contract, right? Express contract, expressed contract. So it's been verbally expressed and shared, and that is considered a verbal contract. Okay, it eventually has to be put down in writing when there's going to be a buyer and a seller involved. However, it is implied. And when a realtor says, we're going to go looking for houses, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, you know, it implies, it expresses that they represent the buyer. right? And the buyer will understand that. So we're working as a team. However, before the offer is presented, we're going to get a buyer's rep agreement signed, because many brokers do not allow sub-agency. So sub-agency, right, is an agent that doesn't legally or under contract represent the seller. However, if the buyer doesn't want to be represented and the buyer agent writes a contract for purchase and sale and present it to the selling listing agent, that buyer agent doesn't represent the buyer. Therefore, they're a substitute, a sub-agent of the seller. So they're like legally representing. Their fiduciary is to the seller. They cannot share any confidential information they may know, or any other type of information with the buyer. Buyer has to do their own due diligence and not receive advice, direction, or any loyalty from that buyer agent. So in that case, they might have an implied contract, but if the buyer never signs one and neither does the agent, then that's a sub-agent. I get my buyer's rep agreement signed when I sign I have the contract written. That's when I get them to sign everything, with the exception of the IABS. Okay, the IABS, right, is on our emails and websites and stuff like that. And I have to make sure, since I moved companies, right? So, but we can send those. If for some reason we haven't sent it, then before we have all the contract documents signed, we send all those forms and get them signed. And your broker is going to require it. Improvement. Human-made addition to real estate. So you've got a property, it's a 3-bedroom home. Now family has grown, you want to add more rooms to it. That becomes a human-made improvement to that house, right? The house is being expanded from a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom. The functionality is now obsolete. Remember that? Functional obsolescence, functional obsolete. So it's not as functional for a larger family, so you add another room, another bathroom. That's a human-made addition. Income capitalization approach. A method of estimating the value of income producing property, investment property, by dividing its expected annual net. So annual net operating income means money left over after all the expenses are paid. That is the net. Like when you receive a check, your commission or your public employee job, your employer is going to withhold the taxes, right? And workman's comp, any 401k, any other thing, insurance, right? Those are all expenses. So what you end up taking home, that's your net. Same here. So the income capitalization approach is the annual net operating income. So if you have a question that says, okay, the net operating income monthly is such and such, what do you have to do? Multiply by 12 to do it for the whole year. So it's for income producing properties by dividing its expected annual net operating income of the property by a capitalization rate. So that capitalization rate is a number. Okay? So investors will ask, hey, what's the capitalization rate? You know, is it a 6, an 8, a 10? So income property, real estate developed or improved to produce income. Commercial properties, okay, little outlet malls, offices, strip malls, anything like that, apartment complexes, that is income property. And it can be residential homes, and they are income property, right? Because they're the rental. Incorporeal right, intangible non-possessory rights in real estate, such as an easement or right of way. So is it incorporeal or incorporeal? I think incorporeal. I have to look it up in the dictionary to know how it's pronounced. So intangible, non-possessory rights in real estate, such as an easement or right of way. So the easement belongs to the owner of the property, right? So there is a dominant party and a servient party, right? Who's the dominant? The dominant is like the buyer. It's the easement that is being provided to the other person, the other person that needs to use the easement, like a driveway, a well, a septic tank, going across, having access to the creek, the river, okay? And those easements, okay, are recorded, but they belong to the property owner that is providing the easement, and they're the servient party. They're serving the other party. If it's a recorded easement, then it's a legal easement, and that other person, the dominant party, has access to that at all times. However, that both parties contribute to the maintenance of that easement. If there's a easement driveway, then both parties have to maintain it. You have to go weed eat the sides, blow the driveway, fix the bridge. That's a mutual expense. Okay, I had that in Oregon. So I have to invest in repairing the bridge. If there's a bridge that goes over a creek, okay, a large creek, and expensive bridge could be done by a railroad car, and then you build the wood bridge over it. So that is intangible, non-possessory rights. They don't own it. They don't possess it. They have the right of way to use it. Independent contractor. So who's that? Who's the independent contractor? Tell me. Who's an independent contractor? I'll wait for your answer. And there's 7 of you on here, so come on, type. Type, type, type. You need to know this. Who's an independent contractor? Are we independent contractors? When we join a broker, yes. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Richard, and who else? Sophia, very good. Yes, we are the realtor, the agent, okay, the broker. We are independent contractors. A contractor in construction, they're independent contractors, subcontractors, okay? Yes, yes, yes. So Sophia, are you getting your broker license? Lupe Teran, hey Lupe, really good, nice to see you. So are you getting your broker license like Charles is? Yeah, it's the same test, but you have to answer more questions correct, right? And so for those of you who came in late, this source, one of my students just passed yesterday, and I shared with this source with him, and he took the 4 exams, okay? And it helped him by going through the 4 exams that are on here. It's an old source from 2006. However, he said a lot of the questions were very similar to what's on here because it's a very old source. You know, every exam that you take is different. And of course, there's going to be some questions that you've never heard, you've never seen before, no matter how many questions you've studied. However, this is an excellent source. And so are other sources like this that has, this is another source that I use. And I like this because, again, it has questions and answers. However, he had other books, and I recommended that he download this book, and not yet. Oh, I see, Sophia. You said me as a realtor, and yes, there's 100 and actually there's 125 questions, 85 national and 40 state. It's my understanding now that there's 85 national and hey, Sammy Minstrel is the one that passed yesterday. I was so excited for him. He was so excited. He let me know right away when he passed. He studied this. I mean, that man did an all-nighter, and he was so excited to pass it. But you know, another thing, he believed he was going to pass. Okay. He owned it. He believed it. And it happened. And I tell all of you to affirm, I passed, I passed, I passed. Okay. Do it. Oh, 89 federal, 40 states. Oh my gosh, it went up. It went up from 85 federal. I thought it was 85. Okay. So you see, they're always changing. So 89 federal, 40 state. So this exam has 110 questions, these exams here. And but you study, he did all 4 exams, then did more exams, did a lot of vocabulary, and he passed the state. He had already passed the national. But that is dedication to do it, practice it, and be persistent, and repetition. Do it over and over and over, right? When you start to learn how to walk and you're born, do you know how to walk already? No, you're being carried, by your mom, your dad. Then you start getting curious and you start crawling. And if you can't crawl, you keep doing it. When you start wanting to walk, a baby, you'll see them, they'll start standing up and boom, they do it again, boom, they keep doing it until they stand and they start grabbing on everything, right? And that's where you have to take everything away from the lower level, because they're going to start knocking things. But a child, a baby, persistent, okay? Repetition until you get it done. That's what it takes to pass these exams. For some of you that have been attending for a long time, you've got to be consistent and repeat. All right, so enough of that cramming. Okay, where was I? So independent contractor, one who is retained by another person to perform a certain task. So we are independent contractors. And Sammy, hey, you know what? Do me a favor and post your results on our Facebook group to give others the motivation to do it. Write a comment and share with others on our Facebook group how you did it. Show your results and your excitement, because he had a smile from ear to ear, okay? And let others know, okay, the excitement and what it takes to pass it, and show your results, please. Thank you. Okay, so independent contractor, we are all independent contractors when we become realtors, brokers, or we're contractors for building. So when we perform a duty for someone else and we're getting paid, we're an independent contractor. We're being retained by another. So if we're going to do that for somebody else, it requires a real estate license when we're getting paid. There's different ways as investors to do this type of work, but they're called a wholesaler. They get paid a fee at the closing, okay? And buyer and investor know, okay, that this is going on. But they actually contract a property, write the contract to the seller. Then they have a buyer that's interested that says, hey, I want you to find me a property. And so that then they assign their contract to the buyer, and that buyer, and they take the contract to the title company. That's a wholesaler, and they can legally do that. But when we're getting paid through a broker directly, then we are an independent contractor performing a tax, representing somebody. The wholesaler doesn't represent anyone. They're doing it by a contract. Okay. Where do I do that? Oh, in our Facebook group, Sammy, where you downloaded the document, or where you were trying to download the document. So you're doing it on, just put a comment. Hold on. Put a comment on our group here. Okay, so on here on our real estate Facebook group, just post a comment under the discussion. So you say, what's on your mind? What up? And then you post that, write a comment and add the picture of your test results, put them on here. Okay. I appreciate it to encourage others. Really need it. Okay. Because many of us lose, get discouraged. Okay, so I keep turning around. So individual contractors receive a fee for their services, but pay their own expenses and taxes and receive no employee benefit. That's us, independent contractors, right? Subcontractors, utility contractors that are on their own, plumbers, electricians, AC people that do it on their own. We're all independent contractors. Okay, we're going to end there. It's time to start on the national questions. So let me write down where we finished. And today was lesson 36, which you all don't know, but I'm keeping track of it. And this Saturday, I'll be doing it every other Saturday, because on the other Saturdays, I have a mastermind at 9 o'clock. A mastermind with an EXP top leader. Okay, page 167. All righty. So any questions so far on the vocabulary that we did? And these acronyms are on the Facebook group. Those of you that maybe joined on YouTube, they're not on there. I'm going to see if I can post them on there too, but they're on here on the Facebook group. See, group by AgentPrep with Wow Lillie Handy. That's me, right? That's my name. Wow Lillie Handy. That's my branding. And one of my coaches said, yeah, that'll be pretty cool. Wow Lillie or Wow Lillie Handy. Because I get wild when I go to gatherings. So on here are all those sources under files. Okay, so I put a lot of sources on here, you know, math, study sheet, handbooks, property ownership, vocabulary, national practice exams, math, real estate, fair housing, fearless math, just estates, contracts, contract clauses, closing statements, and then practice exams. This is like for the whole, some of them are national, some are state. I've got to find some that are just for Texas, because in the actual books, like the Texas real estate sales exam, there's state and national in there. It says Texas, but it has both. This one is just national. There's another book on here. See, this one says national only, but there's another source on here that another student shared that has both national and state. So at the moment, see here, vocabulary, settlement statement. I know there's 2 books on here. So lots of math, test tips. And there's questions for you to ask when you're interviewing different brokers. Dang it, I know I saw another book that I uploaded. So here's some sheets night before the exam. Maybe this is it. So when you click on that, it's supposed to open this. You click it again to download it. And it downloads it down here, okay, on the left-hand side. So this is 100 exam test. So and the answers are theory. I know there's another book on there. So there's a lot of free resources. You can also go to the other gentleman that does Prep Agent. Instead of Agent Prep, it's Prep Agent. He's been doing it for a lot of years, and he actually he's involved with a school. He has a website where you can buy material for a whole year. So that is Prep Agent with Joe Juder. Okay, he's excellent. So more acronyms. So a lot of this stuff is already on there. I uploaded it. So take advantage of it. Okay, so now we go into national. So this is the book we're now in. This one was published in 2020. And the table of contents. It has national, state, math. It divides all the section, Texas laws, because of course this is predominantly for Texas. However, you can be from other states. I have students from other states and they get to learn the national practice exams, divides it into the different sections that you take on the exams. State level practice exams. Okay, this one I did not put on my website, on my Facebook group, because I just purchased it. Okay, and so there's the copyright, and then a full Texas license examination that'll have national and state, the answer key, and other useful websites. Okay, all right. You know, I have to repeat this at every class because I have different students, you know, repetition. So national, it's actually on page 141. So and this is on Kindle. I bought this. So let me hide the notebook. Okay, let me see here. I'm on question 141. So what page did I type? 133? Okay, there we go. And I'll adjust the screen in just a moment. Okay. Ready for national? Put your national thinking cap. Anybody throughout the US. Thank you, Sammy. I appreciate your support. And okay, so we'll have a chance to do like 30 minutes in national and 30 minutes for state. Or maybe 40 national and 30 states, since there's more questions on the national. All right, number 41. When you put the answers, remember to type the question and then the letter answer. Carissa and Robert acquire a condominium as tenants in common. One of the types of ownership, tenants in common. In this circumstance, Carissa can do what? A, sell her interest to a third party without the consent of Robert. B, use her interest in the estate to mortgage the entire estate. C, sell her interest only to Robert. Or D, sell, encumber, or transfer her interest only with the consent of Robert. Excuse me. So I'm going to give you some time to write the answer. So remember, write the number and then the answer letter. So when you have tenants in common, okay, what can you do? Okay, Charles says A, which is sell her interest to a third party without the consent of Robert. Come on, this is your time to answer questions, because I'll help you if for some reason you type the wrong answer. This is not a time to be shy. See, and Sammy says, yep, that's right. So just do it. Don't be shy. So, and Sammy said there's 89 federal, 40 states. Okay, so I can't confirm that yet. I'd have to look that up. Okay, so Charles says A, and Lupus says A. Okay, so far everybody's saying A. Irene, agree. Okay. Oh, Lupus says D. Sell, encumber, or transfer her interest only with the consent of Robert. No. That would be tenants by the entirety or community property. The correct answer is A. Sell her interest. So that correct answer is sell. Sell her interest to a third party without the consent of Robert. When your tenants in common, two individuals that bought the property, but they're not married. Okay, tenants in common means two or more individuals, undivided interest, but they can have different interest ownership, 40-60, 50-50, 30-70, different types. And they're not married, so one can sell without the consent of the other. More than likely, they're going to let them know. So the answer is 141, A. Oh, hold on. I've got to type the answers on the Facebook groups. I need to move this page to the other screen because I have 3 monitors, and I type the answers on YouTube and also on Facebook, because when I type them on YouTube, they won't show up on YouTube. I mean, on Facebook. Oh, dang it. Come on. So hold on. Bear with me for a moment. I need to get the live streaming on my computer going so that I can write the comment. Alrighty. Oh, it has a delay. All right. So let me do it on my phone. Okay, there we go. Internet, computer, oh my goodness, sometimes one thing after another. Okay, I had to refresh it. Okay, so that's for 141. Got it? So the correct answer is 141A. Okay, 142. Okay, here we go. Okay, the whole thing shows up. When a tenant in common, again, tenants in common dies, what happens to the tenant's interest in the estate? All right, Lupe, glad you understand. So here's another one. A, it is divided equally among the surviving tenants in common. B, the surviving tenant must buy the interest from the deceased tenant's heirs or sell their interest to the heirs. C, it becomes a joint tenancy. D, it passes to probate to the deceased tenant's heirs. So which one is it? When a tenant in common dies, what happens to the tenant's interest in the estate? Is it divided equally among surviving tenants? Do the surviving tenants must buy it? Does it become a joint tenancy, or it passes in probate to the deceased tenant's heirs. So Charles says D. Anybody else? Come on. Take a guess if you don't know it, because that's what you do on the exam, right? Okay, so no one else is taking a chance. And Charles is correct. The answer is D. It passes by probate to the deceased tenant's heirs. So in a tenants in common, it doesn't meet the 4 conditions of time, title, interest, possession, right? That's only for joint tenancy. Okay, in joint tenancy, you have to meet time, title, interest, possession. Remember acronyms? So it's not this joint tenancy, time, title, interest, possession. So they don't have to give permission or let the other person know. Oops. It goes to the heirs, because this one does not have any survivorship where it goes to the other partners. It goes to whoever is related to that individual as family or whoever they willed it to. The other party doesn't have to sell their portion. Whoever takes over that percentage of ownership then can decide if they want to sell it to the existing owner, or they want to sell their share or whatever, but it's still owned together. They can't sell the whole property, okay, without both doing it. However, they can sell their portion, their interest, okay? But use of the property is an undivided interest. They have an undivided possession, undivided interest of the whole property. They don't get to use a part of the pie, right? They use the whole pie. So it passes by probate to the deceased heirs. Oh, wow. You know what? Oh, never mind. I was getting confused by the number here. So thank you for participating, Charles, Lupe, Irene, Sophia. So keep participating. All right, number 143. Which of the following is true of joint tenancy? Okay, well, I just showed you a little bit of a screen of joint tenancy, TTIP, right? A, the tenants can determine the size of the share owned by each tenant. B, the size of the tenant shares is determined by the amount of equity each has invested in the property. C, the tenants have an equal and indivisible ownership interest. D, there can be no more than 2 co-owners and each has a 50% interest. Ooh, boy. So remember, TTIP. So what's TTIP? Took title at the same time. So they took title in the same form. It was either they bought it at the court steps as a tax sale, okay, it's a bargain and sale deed, or they bought it as a warranty deed, or a quitclaim deed, or an inheritance. However they bought it, but they have equal interest. There are 4 partners, 25% each, 3 partners, 33.5%, and it has to be 2 or more, and they have 100% possession. Each of them has 100% possession of the property. Okay, so the question was, which of the following is true of joint tenancy? Nobody's taking a chance. Interesting. You know what? I just corrected myself. When we type the answer on StreamYard, it does show up on Facebook. I thought it wasn't. Okay, let's see. Charles says C. Thank you for commenting, Charles. And Charles is a realtor in Austin. He's getting his broker license. Lupe, the next one that commented, he's one of my students in the Rio Grande Valley. Okay, both of you are correct. The answer is T. The tenants have an equal and indivisible ownership interest, right? They have 100% interest on the property. So 143C. Oh, it's when I type on, when I type in StreamYard, it doesn't show up in Facebook. So I have to type it in both. Very good, 143C. All right, number 144. Oh, dang it. So when I do the whole screen, well, I guess I'll leave it there. And that's large enough. Can you all see it large enough on your phone? Oops. Yeah, okay. 144. In contrast to a tenancy in common. Okay, another form of joint ownership, right? Because there's 4. In contrast to a tenancy in common, in a joint tenancy, what happens or what is there? A, there's a single title to the property. B, there is as many titles to the property as there are co-owners. C, title is held by a trustee. D, co-owners who are married hold separate titles. So tenancy in common is 2 or more, but it doesn't meet all the conditions of joint tenancy. And joint tenancy is also 2 or more. Realtors and sorry, I clicked on the Facebook one and it had stopped. Okay, come on the exam you only have what, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes? So far Irene says 144A. Okay, Charles, Lupe, there are 8 of you on here. A lot of you are on here today. On Wednesday, I had less people. So we've had up to 10 so far today. So 144A, that's it? No more people? So Irene says 144A, Lupe 144B. Charles says 144A. Come on, come on. Give me those answers. Give me those answers. Okay, Lupe changed it to 144A. That was a good change. Right? Okay, so 144A. There is a single title, whereas tenants in common hold separate title, right? Because they're 2 or more, they're not married, they may owe same or different percentage. They hold separate title to their individual interests. Joint tenants together hold a single title. They bought it at the same time, took title the same way, have equal interest and 100% possession. This is referred to tenants and joint tenants. Okay, single title is referred to as unity of ownership, state of being in agreement. Okay, they all agreed at the same time. So 144A, very good. All right. So nobody's watching on YouTube. Oh, only Sammy was or is. Okay, 144, 145. Dang. I dislike when it doesn't show me the whole screen. Let's see here. Trying to get 145 on the whole. Okay, well, there it shows the whole. Okay, 145. If a joint tenant sells his or her interest to an outside party, okay, what happens? A, the new owner becomes a tenant in common with the other owners who continue to hold a joint tenancy with each other and a tenancy in common with the new owner. B, the joint tenancy continues with the new owner as the third joint tenant. C, the joint tenancy terminates and all owners become tenants in common. D, the joint tenancy terminates and the owners must create a new joint tenancy to include the new owner. Very important here. Remember, joint tenancy has to meet TTIP, took title at the same time and took title in the same way, equal interest, and full possession. So this one is a little bit of a challenging one. You really have to know the explanation of joint tenancy. So the new owner becomes a tenant in common with the other owners who continue to hold a joint tenancy. That means, let's say there's 4. One ends up selling, the other 3 hold joint tenancy. That's what that means. And they are tenancy in common with the new owner. B says the joint tenancy continues with the new owner. Well, the new owner didn't take ownership at the same time with the same title, okay? Even though they have same interest and full possession. So the first 2 conditions don't meet. C says the joint tenancy terminates all ownership. No, that's not what happens according to joint tenancy. D says the joint tenancy terminates and the owners must create a new joint tenancy. No, that would mean they have to sell. Everybody has to sell and rebuy it. That's not what happens. Okay, so the answer is A. Very good, Irene. So when there are 4 joint tenants and one of them decides to sell with the agreement of the others didn't buy that person's share, that new owner becomes tenancy in common with the other 3 that stay in place as joint tenants. Okay, it doesn't terminate, it doesn't change anything like that. The new owner becomes a tenant in common with the other 3. So 145A, very good. All right, number 146. Let's see here. No, that doesn't work. That didn't work either. I try to get the whole question and answer on one screen. However, that's not happening. Let's see here. Well, there are 3 answers on that one. So, okay, number 146. When a joint tenant dies, what happens to the tenant's interest in the estate? A, it passes to the descendants' heirs who become joint tenants. B, it passes as a tenancy in common to the descendants' heirs. C, the joint tenancy terminates and becomes a tenancy in common with the descendants' heirs and the surviving tenants as co-owners. D, it passes to the surviving joint tenants. Reduce the screen size font. Oops. All right. I keep trying doing all these different ways and so I need to. Okay. So which one is it? Thank you, Charles. So when a joint tenant dies, remember, TTIP, time, title, interest, possession. What happens to that tenant's interest? So if there's 4 partners, one dies, what happens to that 25% share? Okay, Irene says D. Fred says D. Lupe says A. Not quite, Lupe. Nope, that's not the correct answer. Charles says B. Nope. It does not convert to a tenancy in common. When one of the 4 partners passes away, that single share gets divided equally to the other 3. And it remains as a joint tenancy now with 3 owners. Instead of each owning 25%, they each now own 33 1/3, 33 1/3, 33 1/3. Okay? So it is 146D. It remains as a joint tenancy with 3 owners. Tricky. These forms of ownerships, okay, are tricky. You really need to know these because they do ask a lot of questions about that. You're welcome. Oh, you know what? I haven't been displaying the answers on here. So 146D, 145A. Sorry for those of you that were watching. 144A. So I'm going back and showing answers. 143C. And 142D. So excuse me for not showing the answers. So 146 is D, okay? I was still on 145. Okay, Lupe. So if I don't display the answer, remind me all, because we're in this together, right? You also help the teacher. Okay, 147. Under what conditions can 2 individuals own a property as tenants by the entireties? Okay, this is a state question, and we're a community property state, right, in Texas. So A, and under what 47, under what conditions can 2 individuals own a property as tenants by the entirety? Similar to community property? A, if they so elect at the time of acquiring title. B, if they are blood relatives. C, if they are married. D, if they incorporate. Charles says C. Fred says C. Who else? There's still 7 of you on here. Come on. Type the answers. Focus, focus, focus. And remember to like or shoot some love or like, okay, on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, hey, post some likes. Need to show that you're also liking what you're studying on here and learning, because I know it's helping a lot of you. It certainly helps me too. Okay, Lupus says yes, he thinks 47C. Okay, who else? Let's see, 147. Irene said 147. Yep, all of you are correct. When they are married, that is tenants by the entireties. When they are married, they've got 50-50 ownership. In Texas, it's called community property. Very good. Number 148. Wow, I love these kinds of questions. They're short. Because sometimes I'm a slow reader. I've gotten faster doing little practices. Okay, when an estate is held in a trust. Remember, in a trust, there's always 3 parties. Trustor, trustee, beneficiary. And I just gave you some of the answer or some of the description. When an estate is held in a trust, which party holds legal title? So who holds legal title when there is a trust? It doesn't say who has ownership or who has equitable title. It says who holds the legal title. Which party is holding on to the legal title when there's a trustee? I'm sorry, when there's a trust. Fred says C. Somebody else said C. Who else? Another, Irene says C. Si, oui, monsieur. And Tyler Perry's, I remember he would say, oui, monsieur. 148. Charles says C. Doing good so far. Yes, the answer is C, trustee, right? Because the beneficiary has ownership, who is the lender. The trustee is who holds the legal title, because the trustor, okay, transfers to the trustee according to the deed of trust to the trustee, who, when the borrower goes in default, the trustee is going to take action with the instructions on the deed of trust. They're the ones that will do the foreclosure, okay? So the bank, the lender, who's the beneficiary, it will entrust the trustee, okay, to perform the foreclosure. And the trustor, who is the borrower, entrusts the trustee to hold the legal title. So 147C. Oh, 148C. The trustee. The trustor is the borrower. The beneficiary is the bank, the lender, right? Okay, 149. Okay, we're gonna stop at 148. No, I said we're gonna go a little bit longer on national because there's more questions. Oh my gosh, I thought we were on state. We're on national when I kept saying tenants by the entirety. In Texas, we're community property. So I was saying the right thing. 149. Tanya buys a 4-bedroom condominium. As the new owner, she has the right to do what? Okay. A, sell or mortgage the unit without impediment from individual owners of neighboring units. So she buys a condominium. Okay. They're in a what? A cooperative. So she has the right to sell or mortgage the unit without impediment from individual owners of neighboring unit. B, sell the interest in physical units separately from the interest in the common elements. C, prevent non-owners from using the unit owner's portion of the common elements. D, exclusively possess and use those portions of the common area structurally or functionally necessary for the operation of the unit. So let me see if I do it this way. Okay, so you get to see all the answers. So Tanya buys a 4-bedroom condominium. As the new owner, she has the right to do which one of these 4? Sell or mortgage her unit without impeding other individual owners of neighboring units. Sell the interest in physical units separately from the interest in the common elements. Irene says A, prevent non-owners from using the unit owner's portion of the common elements. Nah, on B, exclusively possess and use those portions of the common area structurally or functionally necessary for the operation. Okay, so Irene and Charles says A. Remember, in a condo, we pay a homeowners association for the common areas, right? However, we don't own it. We own our particular unit. And we have insurance for our particular unit, the inside of it. Anybody else? No? Okay, 149A is correct. Very good. Number 150. So let's see if I minimize this. Oh, what the heck? Oh man. Dang it, dang it, dang it. Okay, what are we on now? Question 150, right? Yes, question 150. Okay. So if I enlarge it, you don't see it all. If I minimize it, okay, so if I enlarge this a little bit, let's see here. Nope. Let's see if I do small. Dang. Well, neither one is working on here. So, oh, there. Okay, 150. And now it shows it on two screens. So 150, a condominium owner's share of maintenance and operations expenses are based on A, the unit's pro rata share of floor space, B, the unit's pro rata share of the property value as defined in the declaration, C, the number of shares the owner purchased in the condominium association, or D, the asset value, the assessed value of the condominium unit. So a condominium owner's share of maintenance and operations expenses are based on what? The unit's pro rata share of floor space, that would mean their own particular condo. B, the unit's pro rata share of the property value as defined in the declaration. C, the number of shares the owner purchased in the condominium association. No, well, each share has its own expenses. Or D, the assessed value of the condominium unit. The assessed value is the portion that we pay taxes, and normally things, in this situation, it may be the real market value or the price that it sold for, or the square footage. So it depends on the condominium's, regulations, or what do they call them? Their association rules, their bylaws. So anyone? So Charles says A, the unit's pro rata share of floor space. So the condominium owner's share of maintenance and operations are based on, it's not D and it's not C, because it's dependent on one unit. So it's either A or B. Unit's pro rata share of floor space or pro rata share of the property value as determined in the declaration. So I have, Lupus says B. Okay, so this is number 150. The answer is B. The unit's pro rata share of the property's ownership as defined in the declaration that determines, that's to make a decision, the amount of a unit owner's assessment, act of making a judgment. For example, if a unit represents a 2% share of the property value, that unit's ownership assessment will be 2% of the property's common area expenses. Okay, so if you have 25 units and yours is, like it says there, 2% of the whole property value, then it goes by the defined property value as defined in the declaration. So if the property value, so they bought it for 150,000, if that equals 2% of the unit, of all the unit owners' assessments, it will be 2% property's common area expenses. So each unit, more than likely, like where I live, I have a certain square footage. And there are other with similar square footage and price, so we pay the same monthly homeowner association. A larger square footage, larger price has a little bit greater homeowner association. So that's the common unit area expenses then are divided by the association per a percentage ownership of that particular unit. So 150 is B. No, 1.50. Chapter 1, question 50, B. You know, a lot of times we won't know this, you know, until we read the HOA, you know, bylaws or procedures, conditions, restrictions. You know, it's hard to know. So a lot of these you may end up, you know, guessing. Because we have to read all the ownerships. Okay, so that is it for national questions. So we will start with 151 on Wednesday. So take a moment break while I write this down. Okay, so any questions so far? Oh, I have to find the next source because it's on a new book. Hold on, you guys. Let me complete guide. Let me see if that opens the right things that I need. Wow, that's huge. It didn't scan very good. Okay, so let me see if this works out because this is a new book. And on this book, you know what, I may have to go to this is the new book, okay? Texas Real Estate Sales Exam, a complete prep guide. However, so bear with me here. So the answers are on page 208. Hold on, let me grab my book so I have an idea where the state questions are. Sorry, I forgot that we were starting a new book and I didn't prepare for it. The things we do to help out. Okay, so bear with me. So page 92. The only problem I'm gonna have, so I may go to the old source and do it for today because on this book, I don't know where the Well, you know what? Maybe we'll do some math problems and do some of that because I haven't done any math and I don't know who may need some math. Okay, I'm going to do the other book because I'm not prepared for this one. Okay, so let's go to the Kindle. Go to the library here. And go to the state questions. Texas law exams, Texas practice exams. Okay, so that's question chapter number 1. Okay, and then the answers are page 238. Test 11. Gosh, guys, I'm so sorry. I didn't prepare for this. Okay. Oh, that's review. Dang it, dang it, dang it. State section 1. All righty, let me get my okay, take a break for a moment. I'm struggling here. Page 238. Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to continue with national. Sorry about that. Okay, I not prepared for this and I messed up. So I forgot that we were doing another book. So we're going to continue on the national on page 151. Okay. We're starting with 151, right? Yes. All righto. Gosh. That's weird. You guys can laugh at me. Yes. Okay. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Question 151. Okay, there we go. All right, question 151 on the national. We're continuing that until we finish class, which will be over shortly. Okay, national questions. By contrast to a condominium, the owner of a cooperative owns what? A, shares in a corporation or association and a proprietary lease in a physical unit. B, a fee simple interest in a physical unit plus a tenancy in common elements. C, a tenancy in common in a physical unit and the common areas. D, a ground lease in physical units, pro rata share of land and a proprietary lease in the unit. So in contrast to a condominium, a cooperative share, kind of like timeshares, okay? So what's the difference between, a timeshare and a condominium? So you're welcome, Lupe. Nobody's taking the risk on that one. It's a tricky one. So when you have the difference between a condominium and a cooperative ownership, timeshares, shares in a corporation or association and a proprietary lease in a physical unit. B, a fee simple interest in a physical unit. So that's like for a condo. C, a tenancy in common in a physical unit and the common areas. D, a ground lease in the physical unit's pro rata share of land and a proprietary lease in the unit. So timeshares versus condominium. What is the difference? There are like some similarities, but what is the difference? Lupe says A. Hi, Sergio. Nice to see you. And excuse all my craziness there for a moment. I'll be prepared for the state on the next book. So number 151. Oh, we're on number 151, but so far you've got, I think, the answer right, Lupe. So 151, the answer is A, shares in a cooperation or association and a proprietary lease in a physical unit. So in contrast to condominium, the owners of a cooperative owns shares because they don't own the whole unit 100% in a corporation or association and a proprietary lease in a physical unit. So we lease in a timeshare a unit that we use for a week, 2 weeks, however much of a share an owner has purchased. Okay, I've never owned one, but I know other people that do, and they go to it, every year for 1 or 2 weeks. So the explanation says in a cooperative or co-op, one owns shares in a nonprofit corporation or cooperative association. Evolving in a cooperative, it's 2 or more people, which in turn acquires and owns an apartment building as in principal assets. Along with this stock, the one who owns shares in a firm, shareholder acquires a proprietary lease to occupy one of the apartment units. So it's a proprietary lease that's similar to an owner, but not a full-time owner as the fee simple interest would be in that one unit. So they only owe, shares like a corporation, if you're a stockholder, a shareholder, a partner of a big corporation, you're going to own, if you're part owner, a few of the shares of that corporation. So same here. So shares in a corporation or association and a proprietary lease in a physical unit, right? Because in a timeshare, it's like a hotel you have, or apartments. You have all these units and you get to use 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, every year. And if you don't use it, you still have to pay maintenance fees. But that time slot has to be scheduled. Versus a condominium, you owe that fee simple, okay? You have all the rights to it, all the bundle of rights to the unit itself, but not the common areas. So very good, Lupe. 151A. And thanks for those of you who are still hanging around after the confusing moment there. All right, number 152. In a cooperative, real property is owned only by A, the individual unit owners, B, the individual unit owners and the cooperative association, C, the cooperative developer, and D, the cooperative entity of the cooperative association. So in a cooperative, okay, a real property is owned only by the individual unit owners, the individual unit owners and the cooperative. So remember, a cooperative is like almost like a severalty. It's one corporation, it's a one entity. So B, the individual unit owners and the cooperative association, C, the cooperative developer, or D, the corporate entity of the cooperative association. So severalty, one or a cooperative entity, right? Because it's considered one. So I basically told you the answer there. So the corporate, that's relating to a business, entity of the cooperative association. The cooperative is a two or more, but the entity is a corporation. The corporation entity of the cooperative association is the only part in the cooperative with a real property interest, okay? So the corporation owns the whole cooperative. So that is one owner. The association's interest is an undivided interest in the entire property. There is no ownership interest in the individual units as with a condominium. So the individuals that own shares on each of the unit, they're the owners of that particular condominium or hotel room or whatever they want to call it. So the residents of that unit own that particular condominium, not the whole entity, not the corporation. The corporation owns the whole thing, okay? Owns the whole pie. But each section of the pie is owned by shareholders, okay? As a lease, as it said over here, as a proprietary lease in a physical unit, okay? So 52, the cooperative entity of the association is D. All right, that was a tough one, challenging one. Okay, I can understand nobody taking a risk on that one. Okay, 153. In a timeshare, freehold, owners acquire what? A, undivided interest in the property as tenants in common. B, a renewable periodic tenancy. Gosh, I hate when that shows up. For a renewable periodic tenancy for a portion of a year. C, a pro rata share of a leased fee. Or D, a tenancy in severalty for a portion of a year. So in a timeshare freehold, owners acquire what? Undivided interest in the property as tenants in common. Remember, and the timeshare, you're buying ownership of a unit together with other people. Okay, because other people get to use it at different times of the year. I get to use it at a certain time of the year. So it's what? It's two or more individuals, right, that own that unit as a lease. What do they call it over here? A proprietary lease type. And that can be sold to somebody else. So there's different owners. So what would that be? A timeshare freehold, they have all the benefits of ownership for their portion of the lease of the ownership. They can sell it, they can encumber it, they can possess it, they can enjoy it. So they have the freehold use of it and ownership because it can be sold. So it's not tenancy and severalty, because severalty was what? The whole corporation that owns the whole thing. Here they own a portion of that unit. They own a certain percentage at one time of that unit. No takers. Okay, the answer is 153A. In a freehold timeshare or interval in ownership estate, tenants in common own undivided interest in the property. Expense prorations and rule governing interval usage are established by separate agreement when the estate is acquired. So estate, they have an interest in that particular timeshare condominium to use it completely, fully, as the only owner during a certain period of time of the year. And we pay maintenance fees for the whole year for the common, areas of it, right? Some of these timeshares are humongous resorts, and they're quite expensive. But, they have the pools, they have the maintenance, the grounds, facilities, spas, a whole bunch of things. So there's a maintenance fee that's paid every year for all that. And then for the unit itself. So the answer for, which one are we on? 53 is A, an undivided interest in the property as tenants in common. So they have full interest, full usage of that unit every year for their assigned week or month or however many weeks that they have. So 153A. Okay, I'm going a little over time because of my unpreparedness for the other. Okay, number 154. A party has just purchased a manufactured housing unit. I know nobody took a risk on 153, okay? It was, condominiums, timeshares are an interesting creature. So 154, a party has just purchased a manufactured housing unit, which is when is this property considered real property? Okay, manufactured housing, considered personal property, right? By itself. So when is it property considered real property? A, as soon as it is purchased. B, as soon as it is constructed. C, as soon as it is affixed to the ground. D, this form of property is considered personal property at all times. So, you know, some people rent in a mobile home subdivision, right? They rent use of a piece of land. Others will buy land and the manufactured home and put it on a concrete foundation as permanent, right? Take the tires off, take everything off, and it becomes a permanent structure. So at what point is it considered real property? So far, I have Lupe that says C. He says, as soon as it is affixed to the ground. Who else? Ooh, yuck, my coffee got cold. But I have more coffee waiting for me. Okay, no one else is taking a risk. Yes, the answer is 154C. Very good, Lupe. When a manufactured home is purchased, it is personal property. If a manufactured home is then installed in a lot on a concrete foundation, the what do you call it? The fencing underneath. At the moment, I've got a loss of words. The foundation circling around it. So it's on a concrete foundation. The tires are taken off. It has concrete blocks where they sit the manufactured home also on it to create the bottom border and cover it so you don't see the tire. So it starts to look like a home on a piece of land. Can somebody remember what the heck it's called? The siding that you put underneath a manufactured home or underneath a house that's on piers. I can't remember at the moment. Then that becomes affixed to the ground. Okay, that becomes real property. Like when we install a fence on a piece of land and it's on post concrete, that's permanent, right? So something that is permanent on a piece of land, that becomes real property. Part of the real property, right? If it's something that you can easily remove, if it's still on wheels and they can pull it out, then that's personal property. So if in a mobile home park, when they set it on there, that mobile home is personal property. It's not affixed to the unit that they are renting, the piece of land, the lot. Lattice, thank you, Lupe. Oh my gosh, yes. The lattice underneath the mobile home, okay? So that it covers it so that it now becomes a permanent structure. I mean, you can also have, you know, a lattice like that on a temporary in a park if you're going to be there for years, okay? And you're it's being leased, but it still has, that manufactured home has a title. It has like a license plate, like a car. It is personal property and separate taxes are paid on that manufactured home. And in the state of Texas, there's a Texas Manufactured Home Association where the individuals have it recorded at personal property. And it shows when they still owe money and such, okay? Once it's affixed, it's now real property, okay? When the individual sells it, that mobile home is detitled. The title of just the personal property, like the title of your car, is removed and it's added to the land and it becomes a one unit. It becomes all real property, like a house built on top of the land, okay? However, manufactured homes depreciate compared to a complete home, a wood constructed or brick or stucco home. Manufactured homes depreciate. They are becoming more and more valuable, more and more look like a home. And so, they're really making them a lot better and better as the years goes on and technology improves, construction improves to where they look like home, or like a modular home that is built somewhere else and then installed there as a permanent fixture. Okay, so the answer here is 154C. I already typed the answer. Okay, so that section was on type of ownership, right? So hold on here. So when we started this section, we were discussing types of ownership. Let me see the section here. Rights, interest, and estates ownerships. Okay, that's the section that we were covering on right now, the test. Now we're going into encumbrances, liens, titles, and recording and leases. So I like this source. I don't know if I'm going to like that third book. I may have to buy another one. Okay, so this one, let me change the let's see if when I do that big, you can see it all in one page. However, it's still not the best. Let's see there. Okay. 2.1. So this is still national. Which of the following describes an encumbrance? A third party's right to encroach upon a property without the permission of the property owner. B, a third party's right to claim the sale proceeds of a property that has been mortgaged as collateral for a loan. C, a third party's interest in a real property that limits the interest of the freehold property owner. Or D, another's right to acquire a freehold interest in a property against the property owner's wishes. So we're still on National Test 2, and this is dealing with encumbrances, liens, title transfers, and leases. Okay, Lupus says 2-1A. Anybody else? So what describes an encumbrance? Okay, an encumbrance is like a lien, right? The light company. Right, so you can have a third party, well, they're not encroaching. When the utility companies, they have an easement. They have a right of way. So which describes an encumbrance? A third party's right to encroach upon a property without the permission of the property owners. A third party's right to claim the sale proceeds of a property that has been mortgaged as collateral for the sale. A third party's interest in real property that limits the interest of the freehold property owner. Or another's right to acquire a freehold interest in a property against the property owners. So encroaching, an encumbrance, okay? That can be like a cloud if somebody is on that property. So the answer here is A. So Irene said C. So which describes an encumbrance? A third party's, C, a third party's interest in real property that limits the interest of the freehold property owner. So a third party's interest is an encumbrance. It's an interest in and right to real property that limits the legal owner's freehold interest. In effect, an encumbrance is another's right to use or take possession of a legal owner's property or to prevent the legal owner from enjoying the full bundle of rights in the estate. Okay, so that could be a lien, a mortgage owner, okay? They have a third party's interest in real property that limits the interest of the freehold property owner. An encumbrance, that's C, because an encumbrance is like a lien. It'll create a cloud on the title. Okay, did I write the answers? Okay, there we go. 2.1C. All right, number 2.2. So again, encumbrances, liens, and title transfer and recording leases. Very good, Irene. An encroachment is somebody that's coming onto your land, Lupe, without your permission, or they have been maintaining the property and then you're not there and they try to take over, or they have a shed or their fence is on your land. They're encroaching, okay, on your piece of land. That'll be an encroachment crossing your land, which also creates a cloud on the title when the survey is done. However, the best description is a third party's interest in real property. So third party's interest, like the lender, that limits, or a private lender, you know, which we used to call a money shark in the old days, the mafia. So they have a third party interest in a real property that limits the interest of the freehold property owner. Once a property owner owns it free and clear, they have freehold to it. They have all the bundles of rights. Fee simple. Okay, we'll do one more and then we'll call it a day. Which of the following is true of easements in general? Remember, general is broad, okay? So 2.2, which of the following is true of easements in general? A, they involve the property that contains the easement and a non-owning party. B, they apply to a whole property, not to any specific portion of the property. C, they only involve the legal owner of the property. Or D, they may require a specific use, but cannot prohibit one. So like utility easement, right? We own the property. But the utility, the public, the police power, the public utility does not own it. Okay, we own the land, but they have the right to use the easement. So we're the servient party, they're the dominant, right? Because the question says, which of the following is true of easements in general? Very broad. It's not to one specific person that has an easement, like a driveway easement. It's for multiple utilities. They have a broad use of it, yet they are a non-owning party. So I'm just giving you the answer. So the answer is A, okay? It says an easement, the use of the right to use a thing that's not owned, okay? It's not owned by utility companies, but they have the right to use it, right? In order to service the power utility, the water or sewer lines. An easement is an interest in real property that gives the holder the right to use portions of the legal owner's real property in a defined way. One cannot own an easement over one's own property. Easement rights may apply to a property's surface, subsurface, air surface, but the affected area must be defined. So subsurface, so the surface, okay, the soil, the land, the surface of the land. Subsurface is below, going towards the center of the earth, and air surface is above. Those are the three types of surfaces. So easement rights may apply to a property's surface, subsurface, or airspace, but the affected area must be defined. An easement may be affirmative, saying the answer is yes, allowing a use such as a right-of-way, or negative, prohibiting to order one not to use a use, prohibiting the use of the easement, such as an airspace easement that prohibits one property owner from obstructing another's ocean view. So if you have apartment complexes and you have an ocean view, somebody decides to build in front of you. Well, the complex in front of you cannot build above to cover your hotel's view. They're going to have to build low because they're obstructing the airspace above your property. So you're limiting the use of that airspace. Okay, so you have control of that easement. The utility companies get to use the easement to repair it, and so, but they don't own the property. Okay, so the answer here is A. It involves the property that contains the easement and a non-owning party. Who's the non-owning party? The utility companies. So 2.2a. All right, I think I need a break now because I'm starting to see myself distracted. All right, so I'll be prepared for next Wednesday on state, on a new book. I have to review that other new book and see if I really like it or not. I thought I did. So if not, I'll continue with this one again. Okay, when you have any questions, text me, write in the Messenger book group or the Facebook group, type your questions and interact with each other. You can help each other within the group. We've got, 500 members in the AgentPrep Facebook group, okay, that can help answer questions. Or you can text me, messenger me, and or give me a chat. Okay, if I'm not available, leave me a message. It's easier to do it by text. So remember to repetition, consistency in order to pass your exams. Okay, you have to repeat and study every day so you remember the material and you retain it and take the exams as soon as you can. If for some reason you don't pass the first time, it's okay. Yes, it is disappointing. So that just shows that you need to study more in certain sections, as I showed earlier, okay, in the class, like I showed in this book. Okay, I was showing how, well, I can't show it to you now because I don't have the page directly. Okay, so if and when you don't pass the exam, you want to study the sections that you were the weakest on. The exam results will show every section of the exam, how many questions were it, and how many you got right. So if you have a low percentage of how many you got right in that section, then focus on studying more questions of that section or the review for that section, okay? And this book, you know, I love it for that because it shows you after the answers, it shows this, okay? Property ownership, the questions you can focus on restudying for that. If you're weak on financing, study these questions. Contracts, look, a lot more questions because law of agency, contracts, practice of real estate have the most questions, okay? So this older book points you in the direction of which questions to review when you do poorly on those sections, okay? But this is an old source, just keep that in mind, but it's excellent. So keep studying. Remember to affirm, I passed, I passed, I passed, okay? And prepare, help each other out, get little study groups, study with somebody else. And, you know, if you're studying for hours, remember to take breaks between every hour, just like you did in college courses or in high school. Take a little break in between classes so that you can relax your mind and start on a new topic or continue on. Okay, remember that I'm also with eXp Realty. When you're ready to start interviewing brokers, okay, sponsors, keep me in mind. Come check out what eXp is all about and what we have to offer for you. I'll be here to help you with your business, to mentor you, and help you grow the business. We have excellent benefits, excellent opportunities, and we get paid stock. So interview with different companies to see which one best fits you. We're a virtual company. We're a cloud-based company. It may not be the company for you. And however, you don't have to travel to an office. We don't have brick and mortar offices. We're on the cloud. Our home is our office. Our computer is our office. Wherever we are, we can work. Everything is accessible online, even help, brokers, the accounting people, compliance, marketing, any other courses, classes, it's all online, okay, in our eXp world. We have a little avatar like for those computer games that your kids play or maybe you play. We have a little figure that's us. Those are called avatars, right? Like the movie Avatar. So think about it, review information. I did a live on my Facebook page yesterday when I was attending a lunch and learn, and individuals that moved from other companies to eXp talked about their experience and why they moved. And we talk about all the benefits and things that eXp offers. So with that, catch you guys later. Until next time. Bye.